right now, let's talk about head coaching prospects. Go big or go home for the Arizona Cardinals. A big fish may have just entered the free agent pool pond for the Arizona Cardinals. Bruce Nolan today basically coming out and saying if Jim Harbaugh gets an offer, he's going to take it at the NFL level, meaning his days at Michigan could be numbered. You couple that with the fact that Sean Payton is putting together a coaching staff. He's going to be in on it. So then you think to yourself, okay, will the Cardinals, who are they going to have to compete against? And you know where we're going to go. Are projecting vacancy tiers. This is getting smaller and smaller by the week each passing. And the Cardinals are in a position now to be able to put themselves in a position to be one of the top openings. You look at some of these openings right now outside of the sleepers, and these are deep sleepers right here. These aren't, hey, if this happens, this could happen. No. They would have to completely unfold. If you're Dallas, if you're LA, I think the 5 teams up top, that could be it. We could be sitting here a week from now, Bo, and it's like Houston and Arizona and Washington join the 3 vacancies, and we've got 5, 6, 7 openings, and that's it. And the Cardinals, to me, looking at that, I think the Cardinals are in a great spot.
Did somebody finally update poor Ron Rivera about his team and their status in the NFL playoffs?
I like Ron. That was sad.
Old Riverboat Ron. Yeah, he's been through a lot. He was a great player, too, for the Bears. But as far as him knowing, the status of his Commanders team after Carson Wentz took a dump on the field yesterday, he was not informed. And I don't think there's a chance in hell that Sean Payton would sniff that Washington Commanders organization, even if they got some hot new ownership in there. No, you're right. I mean, as far as who's standing in the way of the Arizona Cardinals for the hottest and top head coaching candidate, Sean Payton, it's not a long list. And it's going to come down to Michael Bidwill being prepared to have that conversation with him and pretty much give him whatever he needs. It's as far as power, as far as the power in the organization, and then a blank check to get this deal done. Because you don't want somebody like Houston to be able to swoop in and just offer a better offer and kind of sweet talk him away from the Arizona Cardinals. Because if you want to get out of this and expedite a rebuild, the quickest way to do that and make sure that Kyler Murray gets back on track, Sean Payton's your guy. He's your ace.
Sean Payton is the guy, Bo, but I think that Houston team will be a bit attractive, having the first overall pick, potentiality to get Bryce Young at quarterback, having a guy that you can mold. And I don't see it happening in Washington due to the fact that the integrity piece, right? We talk about the investigations, the cultures, everything happening there, and the only sense of stability that they have right now is Riverboat Ron. So I think I see Houston being a problem, but I mean, you got to cut that check, Johnny. You got to give Sean pretty much anything and everything that he wants in order to coach. And I mean, I like Harbaugh too. I mean, he's shown that he could have success with a dual threat quarterback. And I mean, I'm not sure how the fan base would feel about that. That might be a good opportunity to pull him, right?
Well, I put out something on Twitter today. I think it was overwhelmingly well received. That I think it's a failure if they exit January without either Jim Harbaugh or Sean Payton. Now that it's basically known that Jim wants to come back to the NFL. And you got people rightfully saying, well, the Broncos and their ownership are going to be aggressive. They're going to pay whatever it costs. I'm not comfortable right now, gentlemen, giving Michael Bidwill any excuses not to be aggressive. The Cardinals have money. They host Super Bowls. They host championships. It's a destination city. He bought a private jet for his team. The facility is first class, right, in the NFL. Mark Davis is the cheapest owner in the NFL. He flies coach. He cuts his own fucking hair. He gave John Gruden $100 million once upon a time and said, fix my organization. Now, that was the wrong person to hitch his wagon to, and he's still, I think, writing some of those checks right now. Then he went and signed Josh McDaniels. The money is there to spend on Jim Harbaugh or Sean Payton. And if you enable Bidwill and say, well, the Bidwills can't do it, it's not in their culture, they've never done it before, go with an unknown, blah, 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 you've already lost the offseason. Make them say no to you. And if it comes out and Michael Bidwill was aggressive and he tried everything and he wrote a fat check and Jim's heart was just going back to Indy and Sean just wanted to go back in TV, didn't want to leave LA, I may not like it, Bo, but I can come to grips with that reality. What I can't deal with are teams in worse situations than the Cardinals in non-destination cities in the Midwest being able to land one of these two head coaches, and for Michael Bidwill and company to sit up there in front of you, Bo, in January and say, you know what, it just wasn't in the cards. We're going to go with X coordinator from X team that has never won a damn thing. That's a slap in the face to this fan base when you have endured the most embarrassing season in recent memory and you can't win at home. It's not like 2018. It's not like 2013. This is a gut job to the point where you have to fix every level of your organization. You have to somebody has to come in with an aura around them. Ben Johnson with the Detroit Lions. I'm sorry, Ben, that's not getting it done. You have to get somebody that can come in here and say, I've won at the highest level. Jim Harbaugh's won at San Diego State, at Stanford, in the NFL, and now at Michigan. And Sean Payton was a winner almost every year for New Orleans. The Aints were on the same level as the Arizona Cardinals. That's what you need. You cannot rely on a complete unknown to come in here and expect it to be different. You could get lucky, but that's we can't bank on that. Bruce Arians, fell into this team's lap because they got passed over for other interviews, and then Arians got told no by the dipshits in Chicago, and they were gifted Arians. They were not forthcoming and say, well, Bruce is our guy from the start. They lucked out, and they found each other. You have to be the front of the line, Michael, not the back of the line.
No doubt about it. I think that as far as excuses, you'd be hard-pressed to find any to pass on the crop of coaches that are emerging right now in the 2023 offseason. I mean, as far as coaching carousels, you've got to always have a bunch of retreads in there. But as far as the retreads that are at the top of the list right now in Harbaugh and Payton, their success is undeniable. I mean, what Harbaugh was able to do in 4 seasons for the 49ers, it was due to just as far as the front office there, the leadership with the 49ers that pushed him out, which is absolutely ridiculous. That's on them. That wasn't on Harbaugh and not having the ability to coach him up. And then what Sean Payton was able to do, transform a city that when, as Johnny's pointed out, and when Damien, all of us have been growing up, we're similar ages. The Saints, you had all their fans, the Aints, they were wearing the paper bags on their head, their fans were, before Sean Payton went there and transformed that city with Drew Brees for 16 seasons. Like, you don't have like top-notch candidates available, and that's what they have. And with Denver being in the mix and Indy kind of being in the mix and Houston being in the mix and not a long list of openings or vacancies, you have no reason not to be in on one of these big fish as far as the head coaches go.
Okay, Johnny, I get that. And I mean, obviously, Sean Payton and Jim Harbaugh are top tier. They're what it looks like to be a coach. What's that? Okay, you don't get them, and he opens the checkbook, and Harbaugh goes to Indy, and Payton finds another deal. What are you upset about? D'Amico Ryans or Bieniemy?
No, and
being
a
coordinator.
Bo and I
mean,
were
being a head coach.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Then you have to work your way. It's just like the draft big board. We talked about it yesterday. Here's our number one prospect. We work our way down. I think D'Amico Ryan would be a nice fit. You steal him from a division rival, but you have to go from the point of, okay, we can't have these blue chippers. I want the best coordinator in the NFL, and that's D'Amico Ryan, right? Mm-hmm. You can't go all the way down and saddle for some unknown who's just going to take the job. That is, you need somebody that's going to reinvigorate the fan base. So right. I would need to hear all the facts on why, and it's going to come out if they don't, why they wouldn't and couldn't land a Payton or a Harbaugh, and Bidwill needs to be ready to face that. We talked about it on the postgame show yesterday, gentlemen, PHNX Cardinals postgame show after they lost to Atlanta. Michael Bidwill is treading on shaky ground right now where the perception of him, not as a person, but as an owner, is starting to shift more toward his late father, who was not a good owner. Michael has gotten a lot of things right. He got the stadium built right. He's hired some winning people, got this team to a Super Bowl, much more relevant. It's time to graduate from junior high and take the next step. It's time to rejoin the pros and the big boys in the NFL, and not because right now you're slipping back into irrelevancy, and that's not where any of us want to be. And the only way to do that, I believe, is to get not a quick fix, but a permanent fix. That me banking on finding the next blah, blah, blah. When has the franchise ever done that? What you've done is you've been looking for the next Mike Tomlin for 30 years, and you've struck out outside of Bruce Arians. So you should just say, well, you know what? I'm going to pay a premium for a premium, and it's going to work out.
Right. Well, I mean, it's a proven commodity versus unproven commodities, right? Everybody loves the romantic idea of finding this diamond in the rough, finding this up-and-coming coach, finding the next Sean McVay, Mike Tomlin, John Harbaugh, guys who, paid their
Brady
dues.
Was a 6th-round pick. Take a 6th-round quarterback.
Everybody wants to be a 6th-round pick that comes out of nowhere and becomes the GOAT, right? I mean, that's the American dream. But at the same token, it's like it's hard. And we've seen with Cliff Kingsbury, I mean, it's an inexact science, and you can see some success early on, but you have to kind of vet these guys season in and season out. And if they can't adjust, and what we've seen with Kingsbury's inability to adjust and elevate, I think that's the risk that you take. And I think at this point right now, with the deal that you signed Kyler Murray to, you need more of a sure thing. And as much as you might fall in love with a Ben Johnson, what he's done with that Detroit Lions offense, or what you like, if you like Mike Kafka, if you're whichever one it is, Kellen Moore, is an endless list. I like Ryans over all those guys just because of his leadership qualities and what he's done in San Francisco on the defensive side of the football. I think that toughness would do very well here, but still an unproven commodity. You've got two of them right now. You got two guys that have done it. Jim Harbaugh's coached in the Super Bowl and Sean Payton's won a Super Bowl. It's not like they're Joe Gibbs and they've been, having a racing team for 10 years and then come back to the football field. These guys have been around it. Sean Payton's been, an analyst for this year, and then Jim Harbaugh has been in the Big Ten coaching teams of the college football playoff. Those are two guys that, you have to be in on. And if they just say thanks but no thanks, that's not a true indictment. Sure, it's probably a testament to the dysfunction right now, but you have to have those conversations. You have to make those calls.
Guys, given what we've seen this year from the Arizona Cardinals, I think that the Cardinals need a culture shock, and they need a bigger name than a guy like Kyler Murray. They need someone that's going to come in and take that attention away, and it's all going to be predicated on all those reasons that you just mentioned, Bo. You got a guy, Sean Payton, won a Super Bowl, a guy like Harbaugh, who's played and has the respect of the college and the professional football world, and he's shown that he could win. And if you get a guy like that, I just don't know if these other coordinators are going to have that impact on Kyler Murray.
No doubt.
Right? Because they're not bigger names than him. So it's all, you have to get that level of respect established. And I think someone that's going to be accountable, disciplined, and a proven winner and a bigger name. And there's only two names on that list.
Bo hit the nail on the head. Sure thing. You need a sure thing. And Arizona's Animals saying, well, D'Amico Ryans and Steve Wilkes all over again. We don't know that, but we also don't know if he's going to be a good head coach. No one can tell you that today. Michael Bidwill can't, right? John Lynch can't. Kyle Shanahan can't. Nobody knows. It's the same reason why Eric Bieniemy's not a head coach. Nobody knows, and nobody is willing to take a risk on him. We know Sean Payton, winner. Jim Harbaugh, winner. Those are facts. You can't argue that. Jim Harbaugh never had a losing season in the NFL. He's won everywhere. Sean Payton won a Super Bowl in New Orleans, and every year they had Drew Brees, they were in contention. They were in NFC title games. No one else you can say that about. We can throw a party if they hire a coordinator that's got the number one offense or the number one defense. But we fast forward to next September, right, in October, hopefully with Kyler Murray, and shit hits the fan, and this team's under 500. What's it going to look like with X coordinator? Are they going to pee down their leg when they're going up against Kyle Shanahan, right? Are they going to get exposed offensively or defensively by Sean McVay? Or are you going to hire a proven winner like a Harbaugh or a Payton? And to do that, you have to court them just like you courted J.J. Watt once upon a time, and you have to write a fat check. That's the end of it. Are you willing to pay for an elite head coach? Because if you are, then it's time to reassess and re-enter the Super Bowl picture. If you're not, then the fans in the comments are going to be proven right that Bidwill is not a winner. He's not trying to win. That don't allow us to be right about you, Michael. Prove us wrong that you're not deteriorating to the point where we're just complacent here.